And now, without any further ado, I bring up Thurea Weiss. Thurea was an associate of mine, and we're really excited to see her tonight. But I remembered her story of how she ended up being a chiropractor, graduating when she came to my office, and so she's going to be the lead-in for Dr. Shreeve, okay?
All right, so I am Thurea Weiss from Davenport. So I graduated from Palmer in 2011, and I was in the 9th quarter. I never wanted to be a chiropractor. Whatever happened, I went to chiropractic school. 9th quarter, from 1st quarter to 9th quarter, I kept getting ear infections. I had over 20 ear infections in those 9 quarters. Now, I'm going to a chiropractor, getting adjusted, getting diathermy on my ear, getting supplements, getting all these things, and still I'm getting ear infections. Sometimes I would go in the middle of the night to go and get antibiotics. So I just got sick and tired of hearing about chiropractic, how it can help with everything. 9th quarter, I'm walking to the dean's office, and Dr. Shreeve was coming out. And I'm like, how you doing? He's like, never been better in my whole life. How you doing? And I was like, well, actually, I'm going to quit. And he's like, quit what? And I said, chiropractic school. And he's like, what do you mean quit chiropractic school? You're in the 9th grade. I don't know if you remember this or not. And I was like, in the 9th quarter, and I was like, I'm just sick and tired of hearing about this. I'm like, I keep getting ear infections. I was just at the ER last night because my ear got so bad, I'm leaving. And he's like, are you getting adjusted? I was like, yeah. And he's like, who's adjusting you? And it was a teacher at school, so I'm not going to say the name. I was like, this guy's adjusting me. And he's like, come to my office. I was like, okay. So I went to his office. He did my exam. He did my x-rays, and he adjusted me. And I have not gotten an ear infection since. So I'm like, oh my God, it's upper cervical. So he had changed my life. I don't know if he even remembers it or not, but you never know how far-reaching something you can say can affect people's lives. He had changed my life. I know he's changing lives of many, of thousands of students there. I know a lot of students there that just stay there because Dr. Shreeve is there and he's teaching philosophy. I don't know, he still doing philosophy? No philosophy? Who's doing philosophy? Oh God.
Not sure.
All right, I don't want to, that's not good. So he seriously, I mean, he's an amazing chiropractor. I graduated. I never did upper cervical because I was in the 9th quarter. There's no time for me to learn it. But after a few years of me learning what, like being able to go to and learn it, I went to it because of him. So let's all welcome Dr. Shreeve. Thank you so much for being here.
It's not my fault. And I'm serious. It is not my fault. I'm just getting the stool. So, everybody read this over here? Yes, BJ said that. In a little paperback book. Kevin, you have Selling Yourself paperback?
I don't think so.
Well, if not, you need to find it and buy it and read it. And in the little paperback book, BJ's on the cover with knickers and a golf club.
I don't have it.
You need to get it. So I may have to see if you can get it. The last chapter of that book, he's talking about selling yourself as a chiropractor. The last chapter. Anybody read that book?
No.
Wes, you need to get it. You need to get it, brother. Selling yourself. And then go to the last chapter. Forget the first part. The last chapter is selling the Christ idea. Okay, well, I don't want to read that. Well, I don't really care. Read it anyway. Because in that chapter, he states, or he poses the question, why pray cream on Sunday and live skim milk the rest of the week? So why is chiropractic not everywhere? Why are there not 10 chiropractic offices back to back? Why do less than, and I don't think it's on the rise right now, it was, why do less than 15% of the U.S. population receive chiropractic care. I think that number's probably pretty close. Who's my math major? Who's my math wizard? Oh, good, I have a volunteer. Max. Max knows everything. Max, how many people are in the world? How many chiropractors are there? Yeah, any number you do is going to do fine. I'm going to give you the answer. Will that help? Okay. So take the number of people that exist on planet Earth. Take the number of chiropractors and multiply the chiropractors by 100 for 50 weeks. That's when we work 50 weeks. We take a couple off, maybe more. So when we do the math and get all done, and we look at the world population, less than 1/10 of 1% of the world population will ever have the chance to receive a chiropractic adjustment. Who is that important for?
The world population.
No. Old people are going to die anyway. I'll be right back. I saw something I need. Just so you keep remembering, this is who it's important for. It's those. Because they aren't so hosed up yet. They don't have the mental incapacity of adult Americans or people anywhere else in the world. Adult incapacity. Incapacity to appreciate a simple thing that D.D. Palmer did. And I like that you opened today. Oh, that's something very important. Pierce, you said Pierce?
Yeah.
That's Walter Vernon Pierce, and the book's name is Results. If you haven't read it, read it. You have to go to a library. It's out of print now. His book is Results. Who would name my book Results? Here, this was them, this is them now. Watch what happens. You wouldn't know anything about that. So, what you,
I can get you a copy.
can you? That's
Yeah,
good.
I've got a bunch of.
I managed to get 2 copies in the library, a shorter one and a longer one. I don't know what the difference was. Didn't matter. They'll probably dump them. So this thing that we're doing, nobody seems to know about it. How are we doing? How are we doing? Anybody have a check on how we're doing in chiropractic in terms of building chiropractors? Oh, let me see. How does this work? We send them to school and they learn everything that they need to pass boards, which means they knew absolutely at or near nothing about chiropractic.
Correct.
Not being ugly, it's reality. Crystal. Introduction to Gray's Anatomy. I'm sure you've read it recently, right? Yeah? In the introduction, what does it say about the nervous system? Do you know? In the introduction to Gray's, who said it?
Nervous system is a system that controls and coordinates all systems.
Controls or coordinates every system in the body.
And relates it to the environment.
And then relates it to its environment. So which environment? And that's really cool. Do you know which environment is implied? No, Dr. Joe, don't go away. Which environment is implied? Internal or external? Yes. The answer is yes, because we have to adapt to our internal and external environment. It's what the body's doing with the scoliosis. It was so nice you talked about, and if you see this, then you better look for a tumor. And if you see this, you better look, and it's going to happen this way. We already know how the body behaves. It's not magic. It's really not magic. Who gets better quicker? These or these? I mean, who is it? The babies, they're lie detectors. If you get them clear, they get better. Old people, you get them clear, they go, well, you know, I still think I might have my bingo arm gets tired too. They got some kind of crap. Well, they do, and they're practiced at it. They go to bingo to tell each other about how sick they are. And so here they are with the classic D.D. Palmer. They have stinking thinking. Okay, where do I get that? 3 causes of subluxation are? Yeah. almost talks subluxation, but thoughts. How did D.D. Palmer really define thoughts? A continued negative thought process stops the body from being able to be free. So the solution to that is they all need to go. This town has by far the most per capita places to buy ganja I have ever been in. Oh no, that's not true. I was in Colorado. They were all, but I looked. They had all these posters in this. Glad we were out there. Where were we? Colorado Springs? No, Denver. I don't know.
We were.
Your sister's. Yeah, we went to a comedy show there. Yeah, they had the G-rated comedy show. Almost had to leave, but they have these windows and there's these posters in there and they got, I don't know, ruby red and pagan pink and those are all wine stuff that I know, but they had all these different flavors and I'm like, what the heck is this stuff? And then they open the door, okay, I know what that is. I understand. And yet we have people who that's how they live. That's how they live. And they can't live any other way. It used to be because they turned on the TV and you had a commercial. Little Johnny came, knocked on the door. Can Susie come out and play? No, Susie has a headache. I gave her aspirin. My first Saturday Night Live was in St. Augustine, Florida. Dr. Anita Thomas Hagee said, why don't you come up? And I said, okay. So we came up, and it was really weird. I'm old, so this is earlier than she is. So we had this whole thing where we graduated from school, and we know that you go and you have a fee, and the patient pays you, and everybody's happy. And then the world got completely hosed up. It's called insurance equality. That means they said, oh, we're going to require that you pay chiropractors when they do the things for people that they do too. And I think that and Medicare were two of the worst things that ever happened to chiropractic. I think those are the two worst, if not the worst, some of the worst. And so I go up there and I am in the 80s, Mercedes 80s years practice. Things are billing, insurance company, everything is nice. And I go up there and Dr. Hagee's cash. And I walked in, I looked around her office, and I'm like, all she has is positive thought things. Leaves of silver, leaves of gold, things about immunization books. There was no good housekeeping. There were no magazines that were selling drugs. There were things that would help people be positive and grow. That's all that was there. You know that. Oh, you probably do. It was a lending library, as I recall. So I went back to my office and said, got to change something. And it took a little while, and we got some changes, and things got better. And then I went home one day. I said, do you want to go to a DE seminar? My wife said, sure. Now, that is not my wife. I don't know what possessed her. She's planning right now 2023 and 4 vacation. Okay? We're not going to miss them. We got to go. Vacation's important. Now, there's a balance in life, because I never knew about vacation until I said, I want to go teach at Palmer. I need my head examined, but I did. So I went and she said, yeah, go. Only you have to take vacation. So have I kept my word? So I go on vacay. Every chance we get, we go on vacay. What's wrong in chiropractic? Something's wrong. Something's wrong. I didn't say with chiropractic. I said something's wrong in chiropractic. There's a difference. What is happening is we as a profession globally, I'm sure everybody in this room is pure as a driven snow. I got it. However, we as a profession, we want to be accepted. Oh, I want to be accepted. And I want you to go home and I want you to write on the mirror in your bathroom, if you have one, I am different. I am not normal. You're not. So
I know
just
that.
write it for me. Humor me. I'm not normal. I don't want to be normal. I want to be different. I want to stand up and say, this is better, follow me. Ouch. But I will be ostracized by all the other 97% of the chiropractors or more who say, but we have to do other things. So we get on a plane and go up to Nashville to a DD. I wasn't real sure who Sid Williams was. I wasn't. I was not. And we got there, hadn't registered, didn't have a hotel room, nothing.
Which is not like us.
Not like you. I went. So we get there and I walk over to this desk and I met this lovely lady and I said, young lady, she says, Dr. Nell Williams. And you are Dr. Michael Shreeve. I've never been here. I don't know what to do. She said, pay me. I'm like, okay. Well, I mean, you might as well be direct. So I gave her my credit card. Didn't ask how much, nothing. It's not normal, but then who's normal? And I go open the door and I walk in the room and there's a banner as big as life. It says, nothing is bigger than life. And the first words I hear out of Sid Williams, he was talking. The first words I heard out of his mouth were he was bending over, grabbing the floor, going, money! I'm like, where the hell am I? Oh my, what have I done? But the more he talked, the more he actually made sense. And he impressed on me that everybody needs chiropractic care. Now, you know that intellectually as a student. Everybody's nervous system would be better. You know that intellectually as you go into your practice. But what do people say when they walk into your office? What do they say when they walk in the door? Here's my money. Help me be free of subluxation.
Every time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I don't know how long you've been hallucinating, but it works for me. I like it. I've never had that. I mean, I've had the person say, yeah, I'm here because I want to be better. But then they want to back into the rest of the story. They do. Because it's common for people to tell you what's going on. Is that good or bad? I'm going to go back to D.D. Palmer. D.D. Palmer said, Harvey, lay down. I mean, that's what he had to. The guy was deaf. He didn't have a choice. And Harvey Lillard laid down, and Harvey Lillard got up. And he thinks, wow, I have found the cure for deafness. He had to think that. That's all the experience he had. And then he says, wait a minute, this stuff might work on somebody else. And what was the second patient?
Heart.
Cardiac dysfunction, and he adjusts them and they get better. What the heck is wrong with this? How is it that chiropractic works on hearts and hearing and catheter removal, or the not need for catheter, or a baby's able to turn and to feed on both sides? How many, Biederman, how many of you have read KISS, K-I-S-S? Go to Google Scholar, KISS, Kinematic Imbalance Suboccipital Strain. A guy by the name of Biederman, not a chiropractor. He's not a chiropractor. You read him? You're going to read it again because it's so good. 602 children under the age of 2 with kinematic imbalance suboccipital sprain. They don't have good range of motion. They have unilateral microsomia. The list is long. It's neurological. He's finding problems in their butt because their head's on crooked. What does he manipulate? Adjust? Set? Atlas. Using what? Oh my God. He used radiographs, spinographs on all but 2 of them. And he said those two would have gotten better just like the other 600 did if I'd have taken pictures of them too. And so medicine wants what we have, the physiatrists want what we have. And what do we want? Sid used to use this. Anybody that remembers this, get in here with me. Ultrasound, diathermy, diapulse, Medco-Sononator. And he should have added cat toys. Anybody remember hearing him say that? It just burned into me. Oh my gosh. And so we're so busy wanting to grab everything that they have developed that doesn't work, that what we want to do is stop doing what we want to do, and now they want to take what we do. And that's how Dr. Medhat Alatar had a nice conversation with him Friday. They want to bring us in and make us just like them so that they can control us and get rid of us. That's what they want. That's the plan. That's the master plan. That's scary. That's the master plan. Dr. Kuno is teaching philosophy. That's the master plan. I knew, but I just didn't tell you right now. That's the master plan. So, what's our master plan? Either be different, be smart. Here's one: protect our young. I was going to wear a shirt with zebras on it, but I didn't. This one spoke to me better today. These are not zebras.
No.
Okay, so we were in Africa and we went on a, what did they call that?
Which part?
Retail therapy. They took us to a mall, third world country mall. Mirrors under the car, open the trunk, frisk you, metal detector, can't hold your phone, and everybody's got AK-47s walking around. And there's a quilt shop. My wife makes quilts. So we go in to the quilt shop. You're thinking you're gonna get quilt stuff, right?
Yeah.
And there's this rack and it has this shirt on it. My mother's favorite animal is a zebra. No, it's a giraffe. So I'm just trying to check him. He's not correcting me. He's not any help at
No,
all.
I got the long
Yeah.
neck and everything.
Yeah, good. Okay.
I'm with you.
Now,
I didn't,
not
see any,
only
I didn't see any spots though. That's the problem.
you need to get your glasses checked.
I understand that.
Spine checked, glasses checked. Okay, so what happens is, are all giraffes the same? How do you know? How do they tell each other apart? Their spots are different. Their spots are different. What does mom giraffe do if baby giraffe appears to be under some imminent threat? Kick butt and take names. I didn't see them do it, but I'm gonna bet that's what they do. I do. We're going to have champagne and stuff out in the woods at night, and dancers. And we're in this Jeep thing, and we're riding along. The reason for the zebra, we're riding along, and there's this herd of zebras, and they're just going along just a little faster, and the guide's slowing down. And there's babies, and the babies are way over there protected by the herd. Protected. And then they needed to cross to get to the other side of the road for some reason. I guess it was a zebra crossing, I don't know. And the guide slowed down more, the zebras crossed. Where did the babies end up when the zebras herd crossed the road? Protected on the outside, away from the evil people in the Jeep. What are we doing with our young? What are we doing with them? Are we nurturing them? Are we showing them? When I asked you, what do you want me to talk about? You said upper cervical miracles. I'm like, crap, I don't believe in miracles. I do not. I believe in simple neurophysiology that acts on the body in a way to allow it to go back to doing what it should do, what it's designed to do. And so I wasn't offended by that. I heard what you were saying. Tell me about some really great things that you've seen, and I can. And you started it, and it was not my fault. I don't take the credit or the blame, because your body did the healing, not me. I'm not guilty. I happen to be there. I happen to have some idea of what to do, the technical skill that well, there's I remember his name. Guy's in Arkansas. He's a neurosurgeon. He does stem cell repair on alar ligaments and apical ligaments that are torn. Anybody know the name of him? What the guy's name is? You remember? He will not do the surgery unless you go see an orthogonal chiropractor and have your atlas set right before, so he knows it's sitting in the right place. Why? Why does he do that? His outcomes are better. He's outcome driven. He's just smarter than the average. So this whole question of upper cervical miracles, I decided to look at chiropractic and autism. What's the relationship? Because I had patients who come in who are autistic, they get better, and it's like, okay, but it's not my fault, because if you do what you're supposed to do, they'll get better, usually, which is nice. And if they don't, there's probably some other underlying reason, like the divided thing we were talking about. The parents don't get along, whatever. They're not doing the work. So, got a student, wanted to do this too. She was very interested. So we pulled from this date to this date in every peer-reviewed source we could find, anything that had chiropractic and autism, we put them together. Got the whole pile, printed them off, because I like paper. I don't like these things, I like paper. So we put them down there, and I said, okay, we need to sort these somehow. Let's sort them into anything that has upper cervical and anything that's full spine. So we divided them. So we had upper cervical and full spine. So did I say anything about a specific technique? Because that's not the point. What we found was those who were getting their cervical cranial junction attended chiropractically were having better improvement than those who were doing it otherwise. So then there's actually a nice paper I didn't write, some folks in California did, where they actually looked at, hey, they did full spine and chiropractic with the autism group, and they measured them before and after. And if you address that area, that upper cervical area, it is a 3+1 better ratio, better outcomes, which is scary. It tells us where to look. So we shouldn't be afraid of science. Science says what? Go look over here. That's what science says. Go look over here. And when you look over there, be willing to accept it and find it. Young lady comes in to see me some years back. Very nice. She got headaches in her, but she doesn't want to be seen. She wants her son seen because he has a tick. I mean, here's one of these people. I mean, they're the good ones. And he's walking along, and all of a sudden, and this happens several times a day. It's a little, now the good part for him, he's homeschooled by a bright mom and a bright dad. He wasn't put in the public school in ridicule, because that's what would have happened. I'd seen this one time before, once. And by that time, I'm 35, 38 years in practice. I'd seen it one time before. How would you like to get the call from somebody who you've met who's a malpractice attorney and says, I would like to bring my daughter in to see you? Is that a good feeling? Oh, by the way, her husband, what does he do? He's a malpractice attorney as well. Yeah. So they come in and I examine her, and I'm like, I don't know if I help or not. But guess what? It's not my problem. Subluxated, we're going to set this and we're going to see what happens, and it got good. The only paper I could find about that, and at that time you had to go to the library. This building where they had books, journals. I know you guys, no, it's not where they have models. It's different, Max. It's different. We had like 2 models and like 200,000 books. Now you got 2 books and 200,000 models. It's equal, yeah. So he was a Japanese guy. He didn't speak much English. But he had seen this, and so I'm like, okay, well, I get a translator, try to read it. I'm having one of those divergent thoughts that I'm fighting, not going down that big trail. I'm trying not to. So we got her adjusted, and she got better, and that was nice. And so, you know, mom and dad are happy, yay, yay. But then I have this mom who brings her son in who has a similar thing, and I'm like, oh, cool. You know, at least I think we got a shot because he's subluxated. Not because I've done this before, but because he's subluxated. And there's the difference in thinking that we need to be different enough to remember what we do. Just remember what we do. If what we do is cat toys, then, you know, go get them. But I don't have a cat toy. I don't have a cat. Those are lasers, okay? I had one of those looks over there. So what I did was we got him adjusted, and then mom, and he was better, and he was better very quickly, and he held his adjustment. What's the other thing? We didn't have to adjust him every time. We adjusted him when he needed to be adjusted, but you do an assessment, do I need to adjust or not? And we throttle him if he did, very gently, and if he didn't, if he's holding, then we just leave him alone and let him just be healthy, and it's just weird. It's just weird. We are so in tune to be like everybody else who is adjusting every time we see somebody. We have to find something that we're unwilling to say, you know what, you're good, let's leave it alone. Why should I make it worse? I'm just talking out loud. So mom says, hey, I was just wondering, and she smiles, and she raises one eyebrow, goes straight up here, and the other one doesn't move. You ever see that? I'm like, cool. You're like fun at parties. And she said, yeah, but I've already had, I did. You might as well say it if you think it, because they hear you. And so it's like, okay, let's, I got no clue. Here, lay on your back. And she said, well, fine. Leg checked her, posture eval, neurological exam, and stick your tongue out. Okay, cool. You're really fun. So, well, this is what happens. And so we took her over and x-rayed her. And her son, she's scared to death of radiation. Oh, it's so bad, it's so bad, it's so bad. And then continue living the way you are. If you don't mind living this way, it's all right with me. Go look in the mirror and see how it works. She says, I know how it works. Go ahead. So I take the x-rays, and the son is so excited. He wants to help. He runs over and he hits the button before it's fully up to speed, and I get a bad image. How do you recover from that? I looked at him and I said, from this moment forward, unless you clear it with me, you don't touch my machine. We good? I want to push the button. From this moment forward, until I tell you, you don't touch my machine. And you touch only where and how I tell you. And he said, okay. So I grabbed another, I didn't develop that one. I just got another, took it, I said, okay, right here, you push my finger down, because the way I can pull it back. So we took the image and got her adjusted. She goes back in the bathroom and she says, it doesn't work anymore. And I said, so you're not any fun anymore. I don't know what to tell you. And she said, I even put my tongue out in the mirror and it goes out straight now. I don't know if I like that. And I said, well, I can try to put it back where it was, but I don't think that's a good idea. And she laughed and we had a good time, and she went away. I can tell you that they're both still under care. They're in a different part of the state now. I know who they see. I haven't talked to them in a couple of years. But they've been going to see a chiropractor, not to get adjusted, to go see if they need to be adjusted, to see if they're really subluxated or if they're just, but well, how do you charge for that? You need to know that because got student loans when you leave school. Did you know you're gonna have one of those? You've heard rumors some people do? Yeah, okay. So you're charging for your time. How much is an adjustment worth? Value.
A lot.
But how much? You know, give me a number. What value, dollar value, is an adjustment that changes the quality of an individual's life for that moment and sometimes forever? How much is that worth? I got a number. How's that? Somebody say something.
Priceless.
No, it's too easy. How about 2 mil?
Sounds good.
2 mil, I would like that. Go to your office and line up 20 people, 2 mil a pop. Go home. Oh, but you didn't have to adjust them. I checked them, they don't need to be adjusted. Don't charge them then. If you feel better about it. Next time they're in, you'll find something to adjust for 2 mil. Well, see, there's the problem. If our value is on that we have to adjust. One of our Palmer, Florida grads practices in South Florida. And his faculty clinician came to me at an in-service and said, I don't understand what's wrong with him. He has people come in and he doesn't adjust them, which means he doesn't get the adjusting credit, and he's happy about it. I said, okay. Can I make it really plain for you, Doc? He said, yeah, make it plain. I said, okay, I'm gonna make it plain. Here's how it goes. He understands chiropractic and you don't. It's that simple. And there's this, that was rude. And I said, no, that was cold hard fact. You do not. He said, well, I said, so tell me what you do. Well, we take our history, we do our exam, and then we figure out what rehab they need and which therapies they need, and then if they need to be adjusted or not. And I said, oh, okay. So you're in the chiro rehab therapeutic overhaul. Don't get your feelings hurt. You're in the spine straightening business, which you have a bad curve. We must correct the curve. You and I agree. Correcting the curve is important. I get that. And there are times that it is, but what if somebody only has 13 degrees of lateral cervical curve? Is that okay? Put you on the spot. What's your number? What do you like to see? I got your ruler, buddy. 17. What if they only have, what if there's 13? Oh my God, they're gonna die. Or is 13 their normal?
Could be.
Could be. We want to push everybody into a box and say, you must be just this way. Really? Since when? The way we should push them into a box is you should be neurologically free, clear, holding your alignment, functioning right. Well, but I don't think they're drinking enough water. I know you love to tell me you're not drinking enough water, and that's true. People don't drink enough water. But guess what? If they're in alignment and you tell them, hey, here's why you're not holding. You're not drinking enough water. Don't drink any more water. You have to come back more often. I like it. Ching, ching. And when you say it to them that way, guess what? They're going to go, I'm going to show him I'm going to drink more water. And they will. I have a guy who, because of his job, will not drink much water. So I said, oh, look, we're going to pinch right there. See that? And his skin stayed up for like 4 hours. But, you know, he was clearly dehydrated. And I said, either drink more water or you're going to continue to get old fast and you'll die young. But it's okay, because I'm enjoying you now. I like you. He's a friend. So he actually stopped by my hangar today and he said, hey, look. And it flipped right down. He says, I've been drinking water. I said, you've been out of the airplane? He said, yeah. Well, he flies for a living, so he's teaching, so he can't get out of the little plane to pee. And it's better not to be in the plane, I guess. Catherine, see, they have a purpose. We're not as a profession teaching our people who choose to come to us what we do that's different. Now, I know everybody in this room is doing that, but we're not as a profession doing that. What we're doing is teaching them, we need to be accepted in the medical world, in the medical model. And we need to have practices where everybody, we all look the same, and look, you and I don't practice alike. Does that make you right or wrong?
Right.
Okay, well, good. Do you and I practice alike? Okay, then you're right, okay? And so are you. And I know we don't practice alike except for the single commonality that matters. Actually, I don't think it's intention. I think you can have bad intention and do good work. Not that you do, but I mean, I think people can have bad intention, they just want money, and they can still do technically good work, and they can remove the interference, and the person will get well. I don't know who would go to them, but that's a different story. But I think that intention is important, yes, I get that. But I think that the most important thing is that we pay attention to listening to what that body is saying and clearing that nervous interference and allowing the body to get better. Just allowing the body to get better. Young lady came into the office and she was having seizures. And so they took pictures of videos of her so I could see how bad they were. It's important. And one of the things we noticed was they're taking the picture, she's not having a seizure yet, the dog comes over and sits by her, and then the seizure happens. So she's allergic to the dog. Or the dog is sensitive to her. The dog's intention was to comfort her and make sure she was okay. I get that. We don't have to deal with what they do. Her neurologist in Jacksonville, you can figure out where, was giving her medication, and she quit taking the medication. Nothing I said, I promise you. All I did was adjust her and said, we'll see what happens. And the seizures dropped off, they got much better, very rare, went long periods of time, months without them. She goes back to see the neurologist, and the neurologist says, see, the medication is finally working. She says, no, I quit taking that a year ago. So it's not working. Her decision, not mine. I don't practice medicine. D.D. Palmer related conditions to subluxation. He said, if we can look at this is misbehaving pathophysiology, altered function, not the way that the body's designed to function at its best. And we make a change in the nervous system, and guess what? All of a sudden, it behaves better because of Crystal. Remember the question I asked you earlier? Gray's Anatomy, which says the nervous system controls or coordinates all functions of the body directly or indirectly. Period. The end. It adapts that organism to its environment. It's that simple, and we're making it hard. We're not explaining that to people. We're not. If we did, people would understand it, and they say, oh, I want some of that. I think they would. I think they would. Yeah, they're still going to complain, I got a headache. Okay. I had a nice conversation with a practice member. She said, I'm having a nice look. You know, somewhere you're coming out of alignment. Something is doing this. What's the stressor in your life? Well, I lost my hairdresser. That's pretty stressful. That was not an out loud voice, but I said, what about the hairdresser made that difficult for you? The color. She gets the color right. Okay. All right, I can see that. And I lost my massage therapist. Wow, this is bad. You can get another one. You can keep trying them until you find one you like. That would be okay. And I can think of a couple of people and I just go ask for lady that cuts my hair with she does color. I see her doing it, and she likes that. She doesn't color mine. This is natural. This is my Palmer color. That's what Palmer did to me. I'm blaming Palmer. So I just kept looking. She says, well, there's one other thing. Oh, cool. What's going on in your life? I got my husband a snore guard thing, and I can't sleep, and he snores so loud, and he won't wear it, and it's driving me nuts. Go sleep in a different room. solve the problem. She said, I'm gonna go buy a bed and do that. Okay. I mean, it'd probably be better, cheaper than a divorce, bed cheaper than a divorce, I think. I can answer that. So, what's causing her to not hold her alignment? By the time she finished expressing her upsetness with her husband, she was angry and worked up, and I'm like, oh my. This is her continuing to churn this, and she's blowing herself up. She needs to fix it. I think a bed in another room is fine. Or go put a pillow over his head, but I think there's consequences to that. Well, I'm sure there are. I don't know personally, but I read the paper, internet. What are you gonna do to simplify your life, to decide, I'm going to make a change? Don't worry about me. I'll live until I die, and I'll be happy when I do. I'm okay. But these guys, that one. The other one disappeared right in here.
It's in here.
Oh, she's in there? Okay, well, I'll leave her alone. So, these are the guys. If we can change their life, they're gonna eventually come back and say, ooh, I get this. I already know. They don't have to know it intellectually. They will know it innate to innate. They will get the intention you have. And all you have to do is adjust one or two of these, and your life will change. My life changed when somebody said I had chronic recurring appendicitis, and he said, the problem's right here in your neck. I'm like, oh my, this guy's nuts. He's bona fide carb carrying nuts. So he takes me in this little room, literally it was the size of the child care fenced area. Unfenced area. Play area. It was that size. He had an x-ray machine in there, and he x-rayed me, and he took pictures of my neck and took pictures of my back, and he says, yeah, I see your back over here, your thumb's right here in your neck, lay on your side. He adjusted my atlas, and I didn't have any more appendicitis come back ever again. I'd already been to the hospital with antibiotics and all that crap, and I was in his office because my family physician said, we're gonna do exploratory surgery. And I was like 14, I said, what do you expect to find? And he said, don't know, that's why we're just gonna go explore. I'm like, cool. So I left, I called a friend who borrowed his father's truck. Didn't have a driver's license, but he came to get me anyway. Rescued me from the pizza place across the street from the hospital, and I went home. My mom was very upset with me, so she took me to this doctor who said, it's right here in your neck. At least he didn't say it was in my head, which is a lot of what happens when people go, you're not getting better, and I gave you all 4 of my pills, the red one, the blue one, the pink one, the yellow one, so therefore it must be in your head. He adjusted my atlas, and that changed my life. I said, I want to know more about this, so he gives me, I said, what can I read? He gave me a chiropractic story by Marcus Bach. I'm like, dude, this is cool. I want to know more. What else do you have for me? He gave me Stevenson's chiropractic text, which I took home and read. And I went back and I said, this is really cool. And I, at that point, drew my first safety pin cycle. I said, here's what I got. Brain cell communicates to tissue cell communicates to brain cell. Any breach in that is a problem. The body will not function right. If that's disconnected, that's what happened to me. And you fixed it. And he said, no, I did not. I adjusted you. Your body did the healing. Don't blame me. Al Warner. Al Warner. Yes. I have to tell you, Sid stopped by our house one time. He was on the way back to Atlanta. And he goes through the house, and he's looking around, and there used to be things in houses called medicine cabinets. You put toothpaste and soap, and people put drugs in. So he goes over, he's opening the medicine cabinets in the bathrooms. He said, well, where's your damn drugs? I said, oh, you want scotch or bourbon? Because that's the drugs I got for you. That's what I got. I got nothing else. He said, well, all right. And then he said, said he was hungry. I said, well, what do you like to eat? He said, I like fried fish. Took him to a Thai restaurant, and they brought him the fish with the head on it. He said, I can't eat that thing, it's looking at me. He would not eat it. He said, I'll go hungry first. We're missing the great icons that we had in chiropractic. J. Clay Thompson, who adjusts first and nothing else. He just was busy. Clarence Gonstead. Mert Gonstead, Clarence's brother. You know what technique he used? Thompson. What? Yes, his own brother. Yeah, they got along well. Really, they did. Mert built a clinic in the round so he could walk in a circle and not lose time seeing patients. So he didn't back up and have to cross and get the conversation. Smart guy. Beloit, Wisconsin. His son runs that practice now, or grandson probably. It's interesting. Where are the practices where Sid used to beat us up for saying, "Are you seeing 500? Are you seeing 500? You ever hear that? Are you seeing 500? Are you seeing 500? And it took a long time for me to figure out. He's talking about seeing 500 in your mind's eye. You'll never see them in reality if you can't see them here. You can't figure out how to do it. I thought there's nobody that can do that. And so then I got in a car and drove down to Margate, Florida.
Yeah.
Pastors.
Pastors.
I went down to Tommy Pastursky's office and I'm like, I'm tired. I had to go across the street and sit down and eat to recover. He wore me out, seeing 600 people a week. Him, at 200 a day, because B.J. Harmon was there doing the same thing the other days. I'm like, what the heck are these people doing? So I went to his health talk where he explained chiropractic, big boxes, aspirin and all. But he's just a simple guy. And I knew if he could do it, because he had been in the Marine Corps. And I came out of the Marine Corps. If he could do it, I could do it. There's nothing that hard. Marines can do anything. We can. Except figure out how to do simple things like explain to people the problem is here, and they either buy it or they don't. If they don't want it, goodbye. You taught me something. You went on a mission trip to Mexico? Panama? Okay. You were in a marina, and there were folding chairs? Something.
Yes.
And people were lined up, and some guy comes up to, I wasn't there, I wish I had been there to see this, but I live it in my mind. And he's wanting to have this conversation with you, and this is a whole lot of people want to be adjusted. Proximal, por favor, next please, you're out of here, reject, boom, done, finished, move on. We don't have time. If we've got to spend 2 days explaining chiropractic to somebody, then they don't want what we have. They can't handle 2 days worth anyway. They can't. They cannot. So if they can't, why are we trying to do it to them? Our new doctors, and been around a fair amount of them, want to do the 2.5-hour report of findings and explain the entire history of chiropractic. Oh yeah, the patient's done in about 2.5 minutes. You're like, I gotta take this call. And they're gone. They've checked out mentally. What are we doing? They already chose you. Shut up, do your job. Do a good job of it and they'll come back. Do a bad job, they're not coming back anyway. Tell them how good you are and don't produce results. How do you measure results? I'm gonna shut up pretty quick. How do you measure results? How do you measure results?
Pre and post.
Pre and post. You assess them before and figure out what's not working, what is working and what's not. And then see after you adjust what's working or what's not. You know what you have left to do, more to do or not to do. That's all we can do. The lady that went to the bathroom stuck her tongue out and said, oh my God, it goes out straight. It is not my fault. The body wants to work that way. That's its design. If all I'm gonna do is get out of the way, let the nervous system do what it's supposed to do, I'm more than likely gonna have a better outcome, success outcome. And then they'll bring a friend, maybe, or an enemy, I don't care. Doesn't matter. There's not a bad technique in chiropractic. use, but there's not a bad technique in chiropractic. Yeah, there's a couple I just will not do. But I mean, it's my choice. You know what they are.
Still Vietnam story,
I can.
if you want.
I think they wanna go home. But I'm gonna tell you now because she asked. I'm a hard-headed person. Nobody, Dawn, you know that. Kevin, you have no idea. So, I've been offered this all-expense paid tour of Southeast Asia, courtesy of the United States government. In a place called French Indochina, which they then renamed Vietnam. So I'm there, and through several little things, I end up not functioning as well as I should. So the good part is that when you lose color vision, when you can really only see black and white and gray, you're really effective at walking around in the dark and seeing stuff. And my job, a lot of it was walking around in the dark, and if I could see stuff, then I had a better chance of living. Because the stuff I would be seeing, they didn't like me. They thought that I should be, learn not to say something. I should be offered high-speed lead. So that was bad enough. But with that were headaches, and I'd never experienced headaches in my life, and I had these headaches, and I'm like, oh, what the headaches are? And I'm vomiting, and so the Marine Corps, they don't give you options. They just say, do this. So I'm at 1st Medical Battalion, and then I went to 94th Aerovac, and so I went to everything that they had in Vietnam for me to go to. They had me on morphine, codeine, and Cafragon, which is really cool. The pain was no different. The vision was the same. The problem with that, I didn't care. I just didn't care. So for me, that's what those things did. I didn't care that I heard. It just didn't matter. So the Marine Corps, in their infinite wisdom, this Navy doctor says, we're going to send you to Mecca. We're sending you to Bethesda, which I understand is in Maryland. And I'm thinking, that's not in this country. Count me in. Well, that was my thought. In the Marine Corps, there's something that you need to do. The first thing you need to do if you're going to a new duty station is
Haircut.
get a haircut. So I go get a haircut. And I'm explaining to the barber, who happened to be Vietnamese, that if he picked up anything sharp, that my knife, we call him a K-bar, but my knife is a big knife, would find him and he would not be happy. It's that simple. I was probably a little more harsh than that, but he got the message, and I said, so just cut the hair. So he cut my hair, and then he put his hands on my shoulders, but he did it in such a way that his intention was good. I mean, I knew. And then he grabbed my neck and he tried to decapitate me. He was a very bright young man. He ran. And when I caught him, because I did catch him, we were on this, I don't know what you call the steel mesh stuff they put down, and then they paint a big circle on it with a red cross in it for the helicopters to aim at. I guess that's the place they crash into. And so I caught him on that, and I grabbed, and my knife found his throat, and what my first recognition was, that's red. And so it's like, time out, dude, let's hang on. So I took him over, they sewed his neck up, he did not die, which is probably good. The knife was sharp and it was clean, so it was a clean cut, easy to sew up. I didn't quite get what he was trying to tell me from that story. I didn't really get it when I came home. I get to Palmer after a year or so, almost a year. I got up to Palmer and I picked up a book called Around the World with BJ. And BJ went to, anybody want to guess?
Indochina.
French Indochina. And he taught the barbers because nobody else wanted to learn how to adjust. I'm like, and he didn't use toggle. He didn't use knee chest. He used grab him by the neck and try to rip it off and see what happens. That's what they had. That was the tool that they had. So I'm thinking, wow, that's really neat. I'm sitting in, I'm teaching many years later. I'm teaching, I'm in room 223. I don't know, upstairs in building 2. And I look in the back, and there's a young lady who doesn't look like she's from Oklahoma. And I'm looking at her, and somebody asked me, so I'm telling this story, and she's crying. That was her father that I chased down. She's in chiropractic school. I'm like, she heard the same story from him. Probably it wasn't as nice from him. And I'm like, oh my. But the story's really more about, look at where I was, and nobody could help me. No amount of drugs. There wasn't. What are they going to do? Decapitate me? I mean, that's all that was left. Cut the vagus nerve so it can't communicate with the stomach, and I won't be able to puke. Would that work? I mean, I don't know. I don't think it would be good, but instead, he grabbed my neck and he twisted my neck and forcefully. But the outcome was good because it changed my life, and it reinforced that I needed to go to chiropractic school. It took a third story for me to get there. I won't bother you with that, but I'm a slow learner. So the third time that something dramatic happened, and medicine was not able to do anything, and chiropractic did, I'm like, well, hello, I think I must need to be a chiropractor. I must. And I was in Palmer when I got the story that leads me to these, which is embryology. And because I was really pretty convinced that there was no God at that point, could not possibly be. And yet one cell is fertilized, and 280 days later it becomes 50 to 100 trillion cells, perfectly organized, ready to adapt to its internal and external environment, just the way it's designed. And that's not an accident. We didn't crawl out of the ocean on our belly and become human beings. This did not happen. There was nothing, and nothing happened, and here we are. That's hard. It's easier for me to believe something happened, and here we are. So that's my belief choice. And so I realized that this is such a golden trust that we have to change the quality of lives. Not how do you feel, what's working better, measure it. Neurological outcomes, measure it. How do you feel if we eliminated in SOAP notes 0 to 10, we'd be much better off. Make us be like a vet. Test it. Figure out what's working or not. We should be able to do that. We're taught to do that in school. We're taught. We're taught more of that than we need, but we're taught that. And then we're going to make a difference. So I encourage you to find these, work with these. They get better faster, stay better longer. They'll love you more unabashedly than the people who will stab you in a heartbeat. Because I'm not mad like that. I need another x-ray or not. Okay, not. Come back when you're ready and you want to get better. Be bold, stand up for yourself. You guys ready to change chiropractic? Because that's what's going to have to happen. And it starts with 1, and then 2, and then 4, and then 400, and then 4,000. It's not going to happen at a college. College is corporate America. That's crap. It's not going to work there. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not going to work. But because you belong to a certain franchise, it's not. It's going to work because it's in your heart, it's in your head, it's in your heart, it's in your hands, and you understand it. And then you find somebody and drag them in and say, you want to do this too. Thanks for listening. Do something with it.